بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. How is your Ramadan going? I actually happen to celebrate Ramadan. I do Ramadan in December. It's just how I grew up doing it. I just cut out a few things for this month in honor of it. Just as a way to honor it instead. So there's that. And it's a little difficult, but it's fine. So anyways, I know I'm kind of just jumping right into this because I don't want to waste too much time, y'all. But don't worry, we're going to get to the good stuff in a minute. As you can tell by the title, it's finally time for my testimony. And I'm so excited. I mean, not really, because this is someone's life we're talking about. It's going to take me a while to really get through everything that I kind of want to get through. So hopefully this isn't more than 20 minutes long. Probably. But anyways, guys, as I was saying, I follow the solar calendar. My mother personally told me it doesn't really matter. Let me know in the comment section if it does, if there are like hadiths verifying why it's more important that I do it at this particular time. She grew up in like Arizona and the California area, so it was really hot. That was another reason I think that they did the solar calendar. Anyway, so without further ado, here is my testimony video about me and how I came back to Islam and why did I choose Islam. And yeah, basically, I just want to do a quick shout out to everyone who, it's been almost 100 people on my first video on this channel. Thank you so much. Anything that does not get that within like a month, I just delete because it's just, yeah, I'm sure you guys have been noticing that. I might put the other video up though, I don't know. But maybe that was just like God's way of telling me, stick to only Islam related topics. I don't know yet. We'll see. Like, this is a very personal video, so you guys might be interested. Whoever is watching this. Yeah, and I still very much love my 2 subscribers. Thank you for even showing up. Alright, so let's just get right into my interesting life. Because it is interesting. Well, I think it's boring. Anyway, so I was going to talk about my upbringing. So I grew up in and I would call it an informal, non-traditional kind of Islamic household. And the reason I say that is because as a black family in America, we, I'm not really mixed with anything that that's a different story. Actually, if you want to see my 23andMe video, I do have, that exists. I did take a Dunya test and everything because I wanted to see where I was from. Anyways, you guys, enough about that. Basically, I grew up in a Muslim household, but it was non-traditional because my mom didn't grow up with like wearing the hijab and everything like that. It's just kind of my own idea. Like, I only wore it once though, and I don't want to skip ahead here, you guys. Well, I kind of have to. Basically, all I was taught was to pray, but I wasn't necessarily taught to pray 5 times a day. I suppose she wasn't either. So go easy on my mom here. She's a single mom that was taught, in a very specific way by my grandmother. And so, yeah, I just kind of adopted what she was told. So more or less, that was it, pray. This is the prayer. I only learned like 3 prayers, and that was, because if you don't know, like, it's kind of more about how many times you're praying more than exactly what, specific rituals you are doing whilst you are praying, although that's extremely important as well. So yeah, so that was basically that. I was homeschooled. I had like 3 weeks taking gymnastics classes when I was like 3 years old. So I always wanted to be an athlete. I don't think you guys really want to hear my sob story. I just don't think you care. But yeah, I was supposed to be an athlete, and I was always obsessed with that. Ironically, I don't really watch sports now, but I do watch the Olympics. That was like my entire life for like the first 3 weeks of my life at 3 years old. Like, that was actually one of my first earliest memories. It's always kind of burned into my memory. I always thought that I was going to be like this super, I don't know, like amazing, like athlete. So that didn't happen. News. But like 25 years and a crap ton of heartbreak later, here we are. So that's what I'm gonna get to later in this video, y'all. So I need to stop saying you guys. I need to just start saying y'all, but no, anyway. The next thing I want to talk about is, that was pretty much my upbringing. Grew up in an apartment in a small place. full of nice drug addicts, you know, not like bad drug addicts. It was kind of like the ghetto, but not like the bad ghetto, you know, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think you guys care about those kinds of details, but I do think that they're important to kind of shape my story, so why not? Again, like I may have said already, Xers are watching. God knows who else type of people are watching, so I just want to be kind of careful here. Anyways, because I just don't feel like it's any of their business. But moving right along, I want to get into kind of why I sort of, as I got older and like went to my teen years, kind of stopped praying as much and just stopped caring. You know, so that happened. Again, I was still homeschooled. I was, once I entered high school, we moved. I had no friends by the time we moved to this neighborhood. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Like, it's not that I'm not feeling this, you guys. I just don't want to go into too much detail. But yeah, I moved to, again, I don't really want to give my location away, but I moved to in the city, basically. Well, closer to the city. It's still in the suburb. You know, we're in this nice house now. But anyways, I've been here since I was a teenager, and, you know, ever since then, a bit of a struggle, I'm not gonna lie, because I was, like, mostly online. I was one of those kids just getting catfished and learning how to find catfishes and learning how to, like, which is really funny, because currently I'm in college and I'm learning cybersecurity now, so it's just kind of funny how I learned how to, like, reverse image search years ago, like, years, weird years before it was popular. I learned how to reverse image search. So I was always on the internet, you know, I was always searching things. I was always talking to people I shouldn't be talking to. Mostly people around my age, you know, other teenagers, like on weird teenage websites that should not have existed because, of course, there are perverts on there trying to take advantage of us. But, willow I was, I was, you know, luckily one of the kind of smart ones, and I usually steer clear of all the creepy older guys. But that's kind of besides the point. So, anyways, y'all. That was kind of like my teenhood. It didn't really exist. I was just like an at-home student, you know, doing this online. I started going to online school. It was one of the first online schools of my state. I almost said my state. But yeah, basically it was, you know, one of their first online high school programs. I don't really know what to call it. It was a real established high school. It was a real accredited high school, but it just was like, I don't know. I still call it a high school program because it's all completely online classes. The only time I left the house was for like occasionally like an event that they would hold. They held a lot, but I had like severe social anxiety and didn't know the name of it yet, so I would almost never go to those either. They even had like a homecoming that I didn't go to and a prom that I was magically somehow, by the graces of God, asked to, but of course I denied it because it was actually like a day before graduation. Okay, you guys don't care about these things. But just kind of going to like paint the picture of like how boring my life is, right? So, moving right along, I got my heart broken a couple times messing around with teenage boys online. I mean, I don't know who wasn't at that time. Actually, at that time, it was like still mid 2000s, like kind of still sort of early. Like, it's not like everybody was on the internet, but like there was still like buzz around like, you know, MySpace and no, by the time I was a teenager, it was more like Facebook that came out. Like, I first opened my Facebook account at like 15 years old. But anyways, you guys want to know, how did I really get far and farther away from Islam? Okay, well, the way in which that happened is the fact that, again, as I told you earlier, I was never really like a super devout, overly practicing Muslim. I just did Ramadan every single year, and obviously I messed that up sometimes. I'm not even sure I was doing that correctly to this day, if I'm going to be completely honest. I had to look more into how other practicing Muslims do it as well. But anyways, y'all. So moving on, I would do Ramadan, and then when I started working, I'm just going to skip past my teen years because there's really nothing that happened. Once I started working and I got my first... I got into my first real situationship. He's probably going to be mad if he's watching this video and I call it that. I really don't care. That's just what I'm going to call it for now. And perhaps if you guys want me to go into details to why I don't call it a full-blown regular relationship. I mean, part of the reason is because neither one of us were like really willing to show each other to our families. We're both like really comfortable just having fun and being crazy like young 20 and 19-year-olds. At the time, like, we didn't want anyone in our business. That was part of it, but Can you really call it a real relationship? Especially coming from my background, it's not real until you like announce each other to your family and you can hang out comfortably in front of everyone. That never happened. I think my brother saw him like one time. So anyways, y'all, I call myself sneaking out for the first time, doing pretty much everything, you know, things I will not mention here, for the first time with that person. But I don't really want this video to be about that person. I'll just say this, that while I was in the middle of talking to this person, and again, if you guys want to know more about the insane online experiences I've had as well as a teenager, again, catfishing, mostly being catfished, having my heart broken by only 1 or 2 fake people, the rest were real. Like my first BF online was actually, yes, I said BF. He was actually from Argentina. I don't know. If you guys want a story time about that, like, be my guest, please ask me. But moving right along, so reaching my 20s. Wait, I skipped over something really important. I'm so sorry. So, again, I don't want to go into detail about this either, but, again, for time's sakes, I'll just mention it briefly. Say, like, 17 years old. Again, I'm, like, doing absolutely nothing with my life at this point. But I do want to start making money. So I think you know what this is going. I wasn't trying to make money in the correct halal way. I was definitely not praying very much by this point. I was definitely looking into certain things and certain ways of making money that I shouldn't. I just wonder if I should even go into detail about this. I feel like it's like the entire brunt of this video, but I still don't want to go into too much detail. I feel like you guys can use your imagination as to how bad I was willing to make money. But I actually was, ironically, at like 17 years old, it was mostly about exploring my how shall I say this? Not that I'm monetized yet or anything like that, but I still want to phrase this correctly. I wanted to explore myself, basically. I wanted to know basically how far I was willing to go. Like, I had, was maturing, you know? What am I trying to say? Like, I don't want to tell you guys. I just don't want to give all the details that way. But we're all adults here. Okay, maybe not. That's another reason I don't want to go into detail. We're not all adults here. Like, oh, we're not, and you're not my therapist. But it's something else I definitely needed. Anyway, so yeah, y'all, I, besides being lonely, like, I decided, okay, I'm gonna try this online thing that I shouldn't do because it's going to be liberating. You know, I had this really stupid mindset. I might even put some words up on the screen to tell you guys exactly what it was because I just don't want to say it out loud. So no, I was not prostituting. It was nothing like that. Were no meetups involved, much to my disbelief of my ex. There was never any of that involved because yes, I was still doing it once I met him, afterwards, and everything else. That's kind of what this entire video is leading up to. So yeah, y'all, I got into like the dark side of the internet. No, not the deep web. It was nothing that bad. Oh god, no. I wouldn't have even known how to do that. Anyways, that is, you know, that. So I was just doing it to explore. And I was completely just, again, I can't say I had no interest in a boyfriend at that time. I just, if I end up making money from doing certain things like this online, well, it's going to be fun too. But let me tell you something extremely important before I move on. I do need to mention this. I did not want to show my face while I was doing this stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm definitely not going to show my face. So if I show my face, my identity isn't that. Now, I want to just mention this briefly because it ties perfectly into Islam for obvious reasons. We are meant to guard our chastity, as God says in the Quran. Now, I may put that quote up here if I feel like it. I might not. But as you should know, if you are a part of Islam like I am, then you know, although I didn't read it and I didn't actually read the Quran in full until like last December. But anyway, so you're supposed to guard your chastity except for what naturally shows. Now, although that can include our faces, obviously, it's still just like this is my own interpretation. I'm not quoting any hadiths here, or I'm just kind of trying to stay on track here. So yeah, like basically, there's that. Like I was just really. Anyways, y'all, where was I? Okay, so this is why I should have written more down. But anyways, basically, I was just not participating in the world like I should have been. I was not taking care of myself all the time. I guess I was a little bit depressed. I don't know. There was still some online drama and people that kept breaking my heart and disowning me, like, online. So yeah, there was just, yeah, let me know if you want a story time on that. I will definitely go into more detail for that. But basically, I could just continued just exploring the internet, looking at things, trying to figure out what I was comfortable with, what I wasn't, until I hit 18. And again, I'm not going to go into any details. I just want to, again, go into maybe more later. Because, again, unfortunately, there are certain people who watch this video that I do not want asking me questions or sending this to anybody. So, I had to be careful what I say here. But I think you guys get the point. I think you understand what I'm saying. If not, please DM me privately on my email. And I'd much rather send it to strangers in a much more secure way, such as email, as if it's secure. You know what I mean. More like a one-on-one conversation. But if things change in the future and I feel more safe, I'm not in any danger, you guys. But yeah, if I feel more safe, then I'll talk more in detail about that. But I'm just going to skip over it for now, and I'm going to skip to more modern times, right? So I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about that relationship I didn't want to talk about, situationship, whatever. Okay, so once I started working at this certain place, I cannot name, about 2+ years ago now, probably like 2.5 years ago now, in the early parts of, what was it? Yeah, it was like July of 2019. I'm really old, you guys. I can't remember dates now. But once I started working there, like, my social anxiety went through the roof, but I also wanted to experience new things. And I met these young people that were my age, in my age group. And yeah, like, okay, you get the point. Like, I ended up, like, I'm just going to skip to certain things that to show you how I just kind of went deeper and deeper and deeper into sin. And deeper into things I should not have been a part of. So basically, y'all, I was hanging out with these people and met only like a month into the job. Bad idea. By this point, I was 22, going on 23. No, I think I was already 23. I'm so sorry. Oh God, I'm so sorry. And yeah, so I was a little bit too old to know better. I mean, I already knew better. I should know better. Okay, so I ended up hanging out. Now, I did not know that we weren't supposed to drink, but I've never drank in my entire life up until this point. Now, obviously, I tried some drinks before, but I'd never gotten drunk before. And this is one of my first nights getting drunk. So it was like less than a month before my birthday. I go to this bar only because of this girl I was really obsessed with. I thought she was the most beautiful thing in the entire world. Skipping right ahead, I went to this bar with her because, again, social anxiety and driving do not go together. So I rode with her to this bar that was really close to where we worked. It was her birthday weekend, so or something like that, her birthday week, whatever she was calling it. I didn't go the first night. So I decided, hey, let me go the second time, right? I was like, I feel like I don't mind letting out names here. I'm just going to call her V for now. And it really is her first initial, but it's not her actual name. I don't think she would mind me saying all this, but I absolutely still love her to this day. But I'm talking about, like, I was attracted to her at the time as well. But I know people are going to be like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have even said that. Like, I feel like I just came out or something. Like, that my ex knew, so if he's watching this, I don't really care about what he thinks either. I just don't think it's that important, you guys, because I'm not participating in that part of myself. It just doesn't bother me because I'm not participating in it. So if you have something to say about that as well, oh my God, be my guest. But again, I've moved past all that. It doesn't bother me. It never has. I didn't even know that it was really a part of me until that moment. Like, this girl could have had me fly out to a freaking different country, I swear. Like, she could have gotten me to do probably anything, like jump off a cliff or something. Like, I don't know. Okay, maybe not, but I just feel like, yo, like, sometimes situations get crazy. Like, people really be influencing you out here. So anyways, V had like this hold on me within like the first 2 weeks of meeting her. So then when there was that, I got into another really insane situation I don't want to talk about. I can't believe I skipped over it because it happened before I met V, and it kind of ruined because there was like some lies involved. There's a lot of deception and confusion, and again, drama. It also happened within the first month. I was just doing a lot of things within the first year and month, wow, of that job. So I don't want to be all over the place. I might revisit that and what happened. It was related to my relationship. I kind of just didn't want to talk about that right now. I hope you guys don't mind. Basically, it was just more sin and trying to explore myself and trying to feel something that I was not getting from that relationship. Like, seriously. So yeah, instead of just leaving like an adult would, I just always did the wrong thing and I always regretted it. So we can talk about that later, y'all. Anyways, back to V. So I was at this little party at the bar, you know. It was the first time I got drunk, and I was actually like, and I didn't really want to bring this up either, but I know that this can help somebody else out there. And I know I'm winging it, even though it's my own story, so bear with me. But I was actually, I just don't want to say this word here. Again, I'm probably never going to be monetized, but so I shouldn't mind saying this word. But yeah, I was essentially... I lost my phone, or so I thought, but the bartender had got it, right? And so, in the midst of having lost my phone and being, like, pissed drunk, because I was with this really gorgeous guy, this really tall, gorgeous, like, dark skin, like, I don't know, he looked like black, like, he was just, I don't know. It's a beautiful person, he's really, really, really nice. I don't know why I didn't just get with him. Anyway, oh, hi, Mom, okay. And no, he was, he was just like a ginormous teddy bear. Like, I don't... So, I did kind of think he was a little bit cool, but I don't know. I wasn't as attracted to him at the time as I would be now. It was weird like that. Like, 23-year-old me, like, getting, like, drunk off of, like, this really, really, really big, Long Island. I might put a picture of a long... I don't think that's how I'll put a picture of, like, a Long Island and what that is right here. Yeah, it was huge. And then I also took, like, 2 shots. So, you imagine, like, I was... gone. I haven't even been before I took 2 shots. But anyway, point being, I lost my phone because I was not paying attention to it. And it was like the crappiest Android you could ever think of at the time. But yeah, it's still like what I need to get home. Anyways, y'all. So anyways, the bartender had it. And again, V happens to be friends with the bartender. So what ends up happening is like, she is like, hey, the bartender has your phone. But again, I'm skipping ahead. I need to tell you guys something that happened right before that moment. It was actually somebody I would later end up working with. I didn't realize they already worked there. Because obviously, you know, again, like I said earlier, you know, this bar was like really close to where we all worked. So obviously people from work would go there. And I was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know, that kind of environment. So yeah, it was like a place where, again, pre-COVID, you know, 2019, this was where you know people were not afraid to be out. They're not afraid to like go to a bar and like every weekend, you know, it's like that kind of environment. No masks. What was that? Right? I'm beating around the bush. So basically, I'm asking around. I'm asking all these random people. I'm asking my friends. You know, I'm like, my coworkers. Basically, I'm like, oh, have you seen my phone? You know. And like the big guy next to me, like he was like practically asleep, even though he was just sitting there, taller than the ceiling. Somehow I looked up at him and I was like, "Are you asleep?" Yeah, no, he was obviously a little tipsy himself somehow. I don't know how it made it through his huge system, but anyways, yeah. As it would turn out, he was a bit of a lightweight. Anyway, so I was walking around. I was asking people, "Where's my phone? Where's my phone?" I come across this one particular guy who just recently contacted my best friend, just trying to get information. Like, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know why toxic people would just not, they would just won't leave my life. It's like Shaitan is just trying to just trying to kill me or something. Ugh. But anyway, ironically, I have to bring him up right now. And yeah, so I asked this person, he'll become important later. Maybe I will make a part 2, you guys. I don't know. And I'm like, hey, have you seen my phone? It looks like this. I lost my phone. And he's like, oh, you lost your phone? And basically, he proceeds to sexually assault me. I don't know if I should call it the word assault. That's another story in and of itself. And no, I didn't press charges. Yes, I was drunk. Yes, it was my first time. Bear in mind, this is my first time in a bar. So, yeah, there's that. My first time in a bar. You wouldn't think that, like, it can happen at any time. This is why my mother always told me to be careful. You don't know what's going to happen. No matter what you do, God, I felt was always protecting me. and that's another thing I'm going to get into. It's another reason I didn't pray, actually, because I always felt like God was protecting me, and I think that he was. But ironically, it was obviously to get me here. So, because, well, I can talk about so many different things. Let's stick to this one, the very serious one. So, yeah, I mean, because he did physically grope me. So, there it is. So, again, if yeah, if any of you have been through anything like that, feel free to let me know, like, privately or whatever. So, whatever. So, anyway, it's not that I was too drunk to not know what was happening. I was fully aware that it was happening, but I don't know. It was just like that kind of, I don't know, kind of thought process where you're just kind of not thinking and taking anything seriously, but at the same time, I don't know, I could have slapped him, I was awake enough to have done something, but it wouldn't have stopped it from happening the first time. It just happened so fast. Yeah, you guys just had to take my word for it. But anyway, so that happened, and then I was like, oh, and once I really did start to think about what was happening to me, I was like, well, he's not going to be of any help. Let me just go over here. And I stumbled into the bathroom and started to have a little bit of a miniature panic attack, and started to wake up, sober up a little bit. And so once I started to sober up, I was like, oh my gosh, I really do have to find my phone. I still wasn't even thinking about what just happened to me. I kind of just stumbled right back out of the bathroom. Again, hi mom, hi dad. And I went back to the bar area, and then there was V. I almost said her name. It doesn't matter to me, but yeah, I was like, hey V, and then she was like, hey, whatever. She's so nice. So then she was like, yeah, so I remember what you said. I don't know if this is exactly what happened, but yeah. So she was like, yeah. So the bartender, she put your phone right here. I was like, the one with the pink case. She was like, yes, the one with the pink case. Da 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 da. And I was like, thank you so much. And I was like, let me just get out of here. I didn't really necessarily want to leave. I was just mostly processing what had happened. Her boyfriend at the time, he's also a different story. And then the guy I was with, but I don't know if he left early. It didn't tell me. Oh, what happened with that guy? I don't know. I just know that he ended up getting fired from where we were working, allegedly. And I was so sad that I didn't get to say goodbye to him. I don't know if that happened that night, or if it was a few days later that I'd found out. I don't know. So he's actually the one who bought me the Long Island initially, before I took the two shots with these other girls I was working with at the time. So yeah. And there was also another V. She had the same name as the other V too. They were both small and adorable people, if I may say this. It was just really, 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 say I don't drink. But as I was saying, I wasn't even thinking about what had just happened to me. So that was another thing I wanted to mention, you guys. I had no respect for my physical self. I really did not know how to stand my ground. Also because I was looking into certain things that obviously had nothing to do with respecting your body. So yeah, why would I have respected myself during this real life in-person time either? I didn't. So I wasn't even really recollecting on what had happened. I was just so happy that I found my phone. So yeah, mixing a little bit of the second time I went to the bar with the first time, but I guarantee you that the assault, it happened the first time I went. So you would think I would never go again. No, but I would actually go another 2 times. Well, technically I went again with who is now an ex-entanglement of mine. Can we just start using that as a phrase now? Can we just say ex-entanglement? Is that a thing? Because I have plenty of them. Okay, I never got to the double digit. I never got into the double digits, so don't try me. Any of y'all, I know you're oh, you really got around. No. Anyway, I went there the second time with him and V. And we're actually still friends. Like I said, they were never the problem people in this situation. I don't even want to talk about the problem people. Maybe until part 2. But I do want to start to get into I do want to start to skip a little bit and get past that time period. So I was just doing all kinds of things I shouldn't. Again, I would just let people talk to me any kind of way. I had I pretended I had respect for myself. I wouldn't even I would kind of fake my southern accent because I grew up somewhere in the South. And I was I would cut up but I didn't know what in the world I was doing. Like, I was just trying to act tough, but I was not. So I would still let people talk down to me. Like there was like this guy, and I knew, but I full on well knew that he was interested in me. But still, the first time I had met, I'm just gonna mention briefly that I met this guy from work. Like, he offered me a ride home, and everything like that. I don't know if I accepted it, or if he simply showed up at my house after work. I don't remember. But yeah, I was probably temporarily broken up with my ex at the time. I don't even know. Actually, I might not have been, but I was all deep into zina. No, I wasn't doing any zina. Actually, I was... Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm jumping all over the place. Basically, this was right after... I mean, me and my ex technically committed zina all the time, too, so does that count? Probably. So he came to my house, and I was in a very vulnerable state at this time because of something I got myself into, again, at work, that I will maybe go into detail later. But anyways, he showed up at my house, and although I knew he liked me, this was also incredibly inappropriate. Again, I didn't want to go into too much of this detail, but also put his hands somewhere he should not have when he hugged me, and I was just like, Ali, like, please, just don't. I know I probably shouldn't have said his name, but Ali is like a really common name. I just feel like it doesn't matter. And I know a couple of Alis there, so no, it wasn't you. If you're the black one watching, no, it was. Oh my gosh, I'm really exposing myself here. Oh my gosh. I really just kind of want to move on from this. So yeah, basically, I just let people walk all over me. Okay, like I really thought that I wasn't, because he later texted me. He's like, I'm so sorry. Maybe I moved too fast. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I was like, yeah, maybe you should not have. That's why I stayed in my situationship so long. He was like verbally abusing me. Everyone else was like physically abusing me. It was just not cute. It was just not cute. Actually, as a matter of fact, I had to talk more about that to my best friend, because we were just talking about it since one of them decided to follow her recently. But to make a super already long story shorter, yeah, these kinds of situations, I seem to have thought nothing of them. By this point, I was maybe still 23. No, I was definitely 20. I think I was 24. I might have been right before I turned 24. You guys, I genuinely can't remember. I'm old, okay? So that's what happens when you get older, I heard. You just start to forget, like, every age that you were. But I guarantee you it wasn't that long ago, that this was happening. So... And yes, I was thinking about my faith, and again, back to my faith, there was something that kind of, even years prior to all of this, started to come back into my mind. And it was like, because again, I think it's important that I tell you guys, if you haven't noticed by now, I've always believed in God. Besides when I was 16, oh my Lord, because it's like I forget my own parts of my life. When I was 16, that's when I skipped over it. But I started to develop extreme, like, anxiety. Not just social anxiety. I mean, like, shaitan type anxiety. He was putting things in my head type of anxiety. Like, psychosis and, like, just being uncomfortable. Like, going to sleep feeling like I wasn't going to fall asleep. Waking up thinking about the next night. I don't have time to talk about that, but when I was 16, you guys, like in 2012, it got to the point where, and that was the only time in my entire life, I'll just say, that I had ever considered not believing. I can't even say it out loud, but that was like the only time I ever considered God not being around, because it was so horrible mentally to deal with. It stemmed from like the most ridiculous trigger that never used to bother me before. It was just something that I saw online, but then the next thing I know, I'm having all of these, panic attacks. Like I look at something and it reminds me of something scary, and then my heart starts pounding. I don't want to go to sleep. I can't fall asleep. That was my first time in my entire life I ever had problems falling asleep, and to this day I still kind of struggle with it. It's been rough, you guys. It's been a rough couple of years, more than a couple since I was 16, but yeah, it's been rough. So moving on, I needed to bring that up because of what I was going to say later. I've also noticed I don't drive like I didn't own my own car, because I had so much going on. So basically, it's going back to when I was like working consistently, started to think about other things in life that I was thinking about, like maybe around 16 years old. Like how I remember that my mom told me that we didn't come from monkeys. Like, she just told me that Elijah Muhammad, suppose I should say peace be upon him, although he's a questionable figure. He is not like our messenger per se. He is not a prophet is what I'm. Oh, anyway, I will just stick to the story. Elijah Muhammad was, I believe, the one who was talking about how we didn't come from monkeys and all those kinds of things. But it was just faith-based. It was just something faith-based that I didn't really start thinking about until I really started to realize, oh, this scientist on YouTube once said the same thing. And I remember seeing that specifically a couple of years later. Like, again, by this time I was at this job, and I looked it up again. I was looking into other things. Like, I don't know if you know Greg Braden. He was the biggest inspiration for me kind of getting my faith stronger again, because I always had it, like I said, except for like the second when I was 16. But yeah, because the mental pain, it was just horrible. Like, I don't want to talk about it yet. So anyways, y'all, I started looking into Greg Braden. I started looking more into, oh, well, if we didn't come from monkeys, even though I kind of was always told that, I'm like, okay, but where do we come from? He went into that. And then Islam seemed to be a part of that. And I was like, okay, so we obviously mean more than what we think we are. That was interesting. That also started to intrigue me. But again, I was still, 23, 24. I was still not trying to pray 5 times a day. Once I found out, again, I never did. But once I found out that I was supposed to pray that much, I was like, because my uncle, he's a devout Muslim. And he used to tell us that occasionally, and I was never listening because I was a kid. But once I realized that was a thing and that we were supposed to be, no, man, I just felt like I was being, this is where I get into how arrogant I was being. And I was just like, wow, God obviously loves me. He saved me from all these different situations. Obviously, I don't need to pray all the time. I just don't need it, right? So I was like, oh, I'll pray. And I'd pray like maybe once a week. I hate even admitting this stuff, y'all. I'm like, seriously. But anyway, I was like barely praying. I just didn't take it seriously at all. So I'm just trying to think about what else I want to talk about. I wasn't taking anything seriously. I skipped a couple of things. Like I said, it's an entire life. Okay, but basically there's a time period in my early 20s that I was also like with this group of people who, worship the devil. I'm just kidding. They did this whole tarot card thing. They were like, yeah, there's a God, but he's in all of us and we're also God, that kind of thing, which is, we don't even need to talk about that. So that was from some live app that I was on, that I was also unpopular on because I was a black girl who wasn't shaking her arsenal. So I was extremely unpopular. I wanted to show my face. I wanted to be this cute, cool person that I never was, to begin with. Yeah, like I found this one community, and then I was also starting to dabble in like, this actually is going to bleed into my jinn video because I was dabbling in witchcraft. I had to be in my early 20s by this point. Like, I had to be 21, 22. Like, it may have been right before I got the job I was talking about. But I was just doing, like, all kinds of stuff. Like, all kinds of stuff that I know I wasn't supposed to be doing. So anyways, y'all, I'm feeling like, also, because my brother just wants to make a whole bunch of noise right now, I'm thinking I'm going to make a part 2. I'm thinking I'm going to make a part 2 to this video. Okay, now that that's over with. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was just dabbling all kinds of stuff. You guys, I can't remember the timeline. I did mess around with a homemade Ouija board. That brought something into the house. Temporarily, though. The jinn, like the really bad thing, like, it was messing with my family, you guys. Like, I just want to say that really quickly. Like, that was why I was, like, really started to take my faith a little bit more seriously, because guys, I was so deep into sin. I had like broken up with my ex. I had cheated, I guess, during that time, you can say, and kind of not, like, even when we just got back together, But the reason being, he wasn't respecting me either, and you know, so I would just do it anyway. When we got back together, I was like, he's gonna, you know, manipulate me and disrespect me and talk down to me and trash my name and call me things and hold things against me. He's gonna do all these horrible things again anyway. So I, you know, it was during that time that I started to realize maybe what I'm doing here, maybe this is keeping the jinn here. I'm being into like 24, you know, 25 years old. Like I'm 25 now, you know. And I was, even when I had that thought of maybe the jinn is sticking around because of what I'm doing. Maybe the jinn is sticking around because of the spell I did. This one spell that I did, you guys. I will tell you later. It's incredibly embarrassing. And believe it or not, it involved my ex. Like, it was so embarrassing, you guys. So anyways, I think I'm gonna talk about that a little bit more in part 2. I don't know. It's just so silly because I just feel like it was one of those situations where it could have been heavily avoided had I just dealt with the situation better instead of doing spells and doing haram things and just being stupid. Like within the past year, I started to get high and drunk at the same time, or try to get drunk with like the little, I'll just put a picture up right here, the Seagrams, like the Seagrams and the like $2 weed I was getting. Like I was trying to get high off of that. I don't yeah, just trying to escape reality. And for some reason, I mean, I still take CBD and occasionally THC, I'm not gonna lie. Like I completely stopped drinking, but like at the time I was mixing the two because I was just trying everything except for praying. You would think that I would have prayed by now. I was just doing everything because my mom would also like warn me, you need to pray more, and I wouldn't listen. So again, this is like maybe 6 months ago now. I don't know. I'm so terrible with timelines. More like 10 months ago. Almost a year or two ago. Yeah, I was just, yeah, I'm skipping ahead now, you guys. And man, I'd broken up with this guy like so many times. I'd done so many things with like people by this point that I just didn't care. I was just like so hurt and numb and mistreated and misguided that just doing anything I could to escape. But I was doing everything except for praying and not realizing that that's what brought this jinn into my home in the first place. So I don't know, you guys. I feel like I've been talking since forever. I think I will go back into some more detail about the jinn and why I say it came from this particular spell. And I'll go into more details about that spell and why I did it. And yeah, I guess I'll briefly mention the Ouija board, although I think I did that while I was still a teenager. For some strange reason, I can't remember how old I was when I did the Ouija board. I don't know why I can't remember how old I was. I think I was still a teenager. But anyways, y'all, I'll get more into those details in part 2. I don't want to be talking for too long. I still need to edit this video per usual. And I know my last video didn't do too well, so no one will probably even know what I'm talking about because I took it down. I just think that was a sign that God is like, no, baby, don't talk about that. Don't mix other people into Islam, even if you mean well, sweetheart. Like, I feel like I should just stick strictly to my story and letting you guys know that there's more than meets the eye, and if I can do it, you can do it too, okay? I'm sure some of you guys have way worse stories than me, and you got through it. So I do just kind of want to come on here to just kind of be an inspiration to people. But anyways, you guys, assalamu alaikum. What is it? I don't know what I'm saying. I do know what I'm saying. Okay. I just don't know the last part. Silly, please ignore me. No. But anyways, yeah, I hope any of this made sense. I just knew I should have written it down bit by bit. But there's so much I want to talk about, you guys, that really led me to this point. There was mostly my ex kind of pushing me to do better, and also while simultaneously being an arsehole. But sometimes it works, I guess. You know, I don't want to give him any credit, so I'm not. I just kind of needed, I pushed because I was already coming into Islam, which is what he doesn't know. So I'm going to talk about all that in part 2, you guys. Don't worry. I got you. So let me know anything you would like to tell me about your own personal story back to Islam, if you guys have any. This is why I don't really consider myself a revert. Although I do, I really don't because I was born into it, but I never really knew everything anyway. So anyway, if you guys want to call me. So with all of that being said, I hope that you guys have a blessed Ramadan and a wonderful rest of your spring, and hopefully I'll still be here on YouTube in the summer. But with that being said, you guys, stay safe, stay loved, and if it rhymes, it must be true. Love you. Bye bye. Part 2 coming soon. I'm so sorry. I just can't talk anymore. I love you guys.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس